Hello, everyone. I hope that you have enjoyed the Cultural Summit program in the past 3 days. My name is Zhu-Nowel, Assistant Curator at the Guggenheim Museum in New York. Today, I'm joined by Ismail Mutaha, a member from the Jatiwangi Art Factory, for an artist talk and conversation. Established in 2005, Jatiwangi Art Factory, in short JAF, is a community that embraces contemporary arts and cultural practices as part of the local life discourse in a rural area. A century ago, Jatiwangi, the region, began its clay industry, becoming the biggest roof tile producing region in Southeast Asia. 100 years later, in 2005, using the same clay, JAF encouraged the people of Jatiwangi to create a collective awareness and identity for their region through arts and cultural activity. JAF tries to cultivate clay with more dignity and to raise collective happiness through many programs involving the participation of the community. A truly fascinating practice, and I think it's deeply connected to a previous Guggenheim panel on making the local. So in the international art communities, JAF is also known for their residency-based festival programs. It is an open space for anyone who wants to visit and do anything with the community with only one condition. At least one element of the Jatiwangi society must be embedded with the projects. And the JAF member automatically becomes the facilitator of any possible activities or happenings, be it workshops, music concerts, theater performances, art happenings, or absolutely exhibitions. So within the past 15 years, JAF has become a temple for artists and cultural practitioners who dream of creating socially engaged works and projects. As for JAF, these visiting friends and colleagues become one of the ways to reflect on JAF's activity and also to think about the changes in the Jatiwangi region, and also as a vehicle to create festivities with the Jatiwangi people. They have an annual Village Video Festival, a biannual Jatiwangi Residency Festival, and a triannual Ceramic Music Festival. Today, Ismail will share some of these festivals with us, and I am very excited to learn more. This year, or actually last year, in 2020, Jatiwangi Art Factory became part of the Lunbun Interlocale as part of the Documenta 15. Yesterday, during the Guggenheim panel on globalism, we have heard from members of Rangrupa, the artistic director of Documenta 15, on their curatorial approach for the upcoming Documenta, which is based on the principles of collectivity, resource building, and equal sharing. Lunbun, the kind of directly translatable as rice barn, is a collective pot or accumulation system used in rural areas of Indonesia, where crops produced by a community are stored as a future shared common resource and distributed according to a jointly determined criteria. Using Lunbun as a model, Documenta 15 is a collective resource pot operating under logic of the commons. And at the center of Lunbun are the imagination and building of these collectives and also shared resources into new models of sustainable ideas and cultural practices. Today, I think we will also hear from Ismail on some of their projects for Documenta in relation to this collective solidarity. And a few notes before we get started, we will be able to take a few questions towards the end of the conversation. So please feel free to submit your questions directly on the Cultural Summit website, and the Q&A function is located on the right side of your web browser. And Ismail will first share a little presentation with us all, and then we will dive into the conversation. So Ismail, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, X. And also thank you very much for all the committee of the cultural summit. It was a great opportunity for me to taking part in this cultural summit, especially during this pandemic time, which is it's kind of reflective momentum, I guess, to see how the cultural aspect is kind of sort of important to thinking more and gain more deeply or formulating in our real life context nowadays. I hope you already see my screen. And actually, I first put the first picture is my favorite food, which is gado-gado. Like it's because it's always hard to talking about Jav. But then, yeah, this is the food that I like because it's so many mix. It's so mixed, like so diverse food. Like you can see, there's vegetable and uh, protein and etc. And sometimes it's for me like reflect or represent how is what is Jav, because like Jav also it's a mix, and it's hard to define if someone else is just collective or organization, or for us it's always hard to define correctly or not correct, define more clearly, because like for example when we start to our neighborhood, like if we are like talking or introducing we are from art collective, it will be very awkward because they know we are living together in one village, and they know when we are still child, and when suddenly we are introducing as something different, like the word of collective itself, I think it's not really familiar in the citizen scene. So actually this is our family then, and usually we start to talking with the our neighborhood or the Jatiwangi community from the family perspective, because we are living together. Like, so this is the family, this is Arif, the founder, like the first son, and then this is Nin, like our grandmother. For us, she's like our queen, like who always making food every day for us and for all the people who coming to our house or our space. And he only have one question: do you have eaten? Like, so people can have eat here. Like, and this is also the and 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 also Jav is kind of the expanded family, and like for for example, like I'm not from this family, but then suddenly I become to be part of this family. And so what Jeff it is, yeah, sometimes maybe we are just like people who have like have a lot of time to, but then this is our previous factory, because in our house, in our land, we had some roof tile factory. That's what already ex-stock, that Jatiwangi is one of the biggest roof tile producers. But then this is our neighborhood who working in the factory, and sometimes people see us as a gangster as well, because this is the number son, like the Arif brothers, number two son, like she's very well known as a local heroes, let's say, or like the one who like a gangster, like but then people very respected. But then this is we see like after 15 years, then this kind of our social capital as well, like to to engage the local or to our neighborhood. That's why we are very easy as well to make anything or make something with uh, our community or with our neighborhood. Sometimes we are just a bunch of people who just hang out together, and then and also in Jatiwangi, a lot of husband or people who they have a wife, but then the wife is working in the, for example, maybe in Uni Emirat Arabs as a migrant worker. So a lot of like husband who hang out in here in Jav. So Jav is actually it's random, but at least delicious for us. So and then but then this randomness also, I think, is allow us to to have kind of organic and to embrace the very different situation that happen in our daily life or in Jatiwangi context, especially like this is the Jatiwangi, and you can see this orange building is the rooftop factory. So mostly of the Jatiwangi, there is a lot of this kind of building, which is a rooftop factory. And actually, this rooftop factory or this industry culture or industrial landscape is starting also from the Dutch during the Dutch colonial times when the Dutch bring the first liberalization wave to Java with the through the sugar factory. This is the Jatiwangi soil which is planting by the Dutch for sugar cane, and this is the colonial sugar factory like very close from our places now, like yeah, and this sugar industry also stimulating the rooftop industry because there is some kind of demand from the factory to build the house for the workers, like for the colonial officer, and also yeah, and also at the same time there is some colonial law that if we want to avoid the forced labor, we should pay with money, and then this the one who have a rooftop factory can avoid the forced labor, something kind of that. And yeah, we still observe with this kind of intersection history, and yeah, and the rooftop is getting bigger, especially when during the new order, which is like our dictatorship era at the 70s, like there is some kind of the policy about the public housing loan that is increasing the demand of the roof tile. So making roof tile from Jatiwangi is now like it's making money, like it's a brown gold. And from that Jatiwangi economy becomes stronger, and it's happened during the 80s 90s is kind of the golden era of the roof tile industry. And one of the biggest airport in Indonesia, Soekarno Hatta, as well, using the roof tile from Jatiwangi. And if you visit Indonesia and you see, maybe you can see the someone house, the roof tile must be from Jatiwangi, I think. So yeah, so this golden era also kind of shaping our social landscape. Like for example, suddenly there is a lot of rich people and become like new king, and then this new king have like very unique hobby with the $100,000 chicken fighting, or sometimes like village chief gambling. When there is some village election, they make kind of gambling. And this industrial landscape of the roof tile as well, kind of the roof tile broker dynasty. And yeah, a lot of rich people also have a lot of wife, and then a lot of village fighting during that time because the competition of the roof tile broker. And but then during after when there is a monetary crisis hit Asia in like 1907, yeah, 1907. It's also kind of the have impact to the Jatiwangi and slowly declining. And yeah, after the new order era, also the roof tile. This is the graphic that you can see the number of the roof tile now, like or maybe around 100 from the 600, even more, I guess. And yeah, that's in this moment. I think Jeff kind of the founded like it's really right 100 years after the first roof tile founded in Jatiwangi, or the roof tile factory founded like 1905, and then 100 later is the Jatiwangi art factory is also founded. It's like so Jav kind of the appears in the momentum of declining. And so what Jav offering actually is yeah, somehow it's only a simple thing, like a new imagination to see how to see our resources, which is soil or clay. Actually, we have our own word in Bahasa Indonesia. We call it tanah. So this is the roof tile factory that Jav owned at that time, and then Jeff kind of inviting our friends, our artists, a friend of artists, and then also to make something in the rooftop factory. At that time, is the reason is actually it's more like sentimental things to make a bonding together as a community in Jatiwangi, and also as part of new imagination. And like, for example, this is the our first residency festival, which is actually is more a performance. And then like Arif, the founder, and he just invite their friends to come to Jatiwangi, and then just making something without explaining more detail or more about what is contemporary art, etc. Just let's do something here, and then it's at that time is quite relevant because this is kind of the shocking moment to get attention from our neighborhood or from the community, which is already used to in the industrial rhythm, like a very routine with the making rooftile. So the intervention with some sort of this kind of activity is quite yeah, relevant at the time. And this new imagination about our local resource is, so Jeff tried to explore more. So rooftile that usually using for the house now is using for make instrument. It's because like to make a bonding together. So we asked our neighborhood to make a song together and then make a tour in every village, like talking again about togetherness as a Jatiwangi community, and then making instrument with the clay. So even making guitar from the clay, and this is also part of uh, the festival that we had every 2 years. So this is 2008, and I think the idea of the festival is more like a simple thing to create excitement together. I think this is one of the important things for us. But then after like 5 years, and then 5 years more, the situation in Jatiwangi also is changing. Like there is another transformation in the term of industrial landscape. So the government projecting Jatiwangi as the new industrial area. You can see in this picture there is the government already built international airport here, and then also the port, and then another port. So this triangle projecting as the modern industry. Like there will be, like now there is the biggest of shoes factory, which is like a vendor of one of the multinational shoes company, also located in here in Jatiwangi. So this is the factory. Like can be like have like 500,000 people working here. Like it's kind of people actually is celebrating this because they see it's like a new opportunity in the term of economy. And this industrial landscape changing, but actually above the same soil. So from the colonial times, and then the roof tile industry, and then now the modern industry, actually it's standing in the same soil, like our soil, Jatiwangi soil. So like what I told before about the excitement together, actually is first like it's all about to evoke the subjectivity we are as a citizen, or as the one who live. Maybe we will die here in Jatiwangi, and it's part also like limbering the industrial line. But then we maybe it's also important to offering to expand more the imagination, like with offering the new ritual, and then even creating new mythology about our soil, because we are very industrial, let's say a society, which is we didn't have any kind of the traditional cultural art context before. And one of the imagination is like we make a bodybuilding contest, because the roof so strange identity as the one who taking care of the soil is important. So we make a bodybuilding contest for the roof tile workers. It's happen every years, and there is some artists also initiate this together with us in here, and this has become like to prove that the roof tile or the soil of Jatiwangi is still strained, something kind of that. And this is part of the we creating new myth, like this one, like we we make a testament or like a trophy, rooftop trophy, to everyone who inspiring the village. Like, so if you come to Jatiwangi and see there is a house with this kind of rooftop trophy, you must knock the door because there is the inspiring one. Maybe you can have a talk with them. And also we make kind of the ritual, like we asking the people to make kind of the ritual burning together of the ceramic object beside the roof tile located in one roof tile factory, and we invite like imam, like kiai, and also to praying the soil when it's firing, and it's happen every 3 years as part of our tri-annual festival. But this time is for us is important to build relation again with our cultural resource, which is soil. And also this is also part of that, the offering new ritual. We call it supernatural farming. Like actually this land is kind of in the middle of conflict with the Indonesian Air Force, but then we to reclaim this land with the cultural activity. And then before we planting, so we connecting the, let's say, religious activity, which is basically always based in the mosque, and then we asked to move to the to the rice field, or the paddy we bring to the mosque. And so people, so before it's planting, it's praying together. That's why uh, we believe it will have a supernatural power, or the cosmological aspect, something kind of that. And yeah, and sometimes for us also it's always challenging if we inviting to some big contemporary art event like biennale or etc., because we should, because usually like when we invited, when we come back home, it's not kind of the not quite important for, it's kind of ordinary things for our neighborhood. Like you, okay, you will participate in biennial, but what is biennial? It's also have a gap. So for example, for this time to, yeah, to formulating this gap or formulating a bridge for this time, like when we inviting in the Asian Art Biennial, because when the new wave industry coming, actually the mostly of the investor is coming from Taiwan. So we propose to the museum in Taiwan, okay, we want to participate, but then our project is we want to meet the investor. So our project is make a business meeting, and then we offering the supernatural farming as investment package. So this is the investor from the Taiwan, from a different sector, and then we tell them, you, if you want to invest, you can do in this way, with this farming, and also with this conflict land. Like they are like quite confusing, of course, because usually the investment is only like transaction, and then yeah, but if you invest here, first you will have a profit, but also you can struggling with us to reclaim this land, something kind of that. And the business meeting also streaming to our, so in our neighborhood also watching their delegation. This is the, like the community leader of our village, and all that supernatural farming and also the investment package, also we kind of archiving into some museum in our village, which is as part of the how the cultural aspect also important in the term of reclaiming the land, so people can see how it's the timeline in the museum. And the museum also built together with the our neighborhood. And yeah, sometimes we make kind of a bilateral agreement. For example, when we invite to abroad, like first thing that we want to make with the mayor for making kind of the agreement that we can bring again when we come back, so we can connecting again with the local context. This is one of the example agreement when with the West Yorkshire when we are in UK. And actually the climax moment for us is when 11,000 people like connecting to rooftile music orchestra. It's like our tri-annual tradition. We are ringing a rooftile together and make a huge orchestra. Actually the composition, it's quite chaos like, but then during that time we feel that we are connected as one big family, and this is important for us to also learning how to sustain the relation in the term of artistic project. It's actually is about how we can sharing the interest. This is for us is important. And yeah, for example, there is a police also involving this, the army, because they also see this rooftop orchestra as a moment for introducing their new image as apparatus or as authority who also close with the community. So this kind of sharing interest is kind of the keyword for us. And yeah, the not fixed methodology also is help us to have like fluid collaboration, and then working together with diverse people, and then yeah, share the responsibility to talking the future of our community. and and then yeah, recently Jeff actually it's always awkward for us to talking if Jeff is to use the term like now is like a very common like social engaged art or community based project, etc. Because actually for us, yeah, we are the community itself. We are not someone who, let's say, like try to enlightenment or try to educate the community, because it will be awkward, it will be have make us have a distance with our neighborhood. So actually what Jeff do is kind of the resilient strategy as a citizen who live in this rural transformation, or in this industrial transformation. And yeah, recently when we crystallized all our activity into more strategic project, which is we call it Kota Terracotta. It's more like we negotiating Jatiwangi as a terracotta based culture area. And then and then we have kind of a concrete output which is ratified in the special planning document. It's become a policy now. So so what we do in the term of to goal that idea is we invite the governor as the participant in our biennial, and also as an artist, and also for us sometimes to, that's why we when I mentioned about the non-fixed methodology or non-fixed form is for example, if we're talking to the authority, it's more easy in the to talking in the form of formal exhibition that we can see in the, let's say, in the art institution or in the gallery, because that more close language. If we talk with the government, that's what they understand. So we choose that form as well when we invite the government. And then this is the process, what we imagine about what is the terracotta, etc. We invite artists, designer, architect to also elaborate together regarding this. And yeah, the governor suddenly we asked him to suddenly sign and then we just put this one, the logo of our nation logo, so it become official that terracotta Jatiwangi should become a terracotta cultural area, something kind of that. And then the local government, the city government, because the one who signed is the governor, they cannot say no, because it's the government very hierarchy. So it's, and yeah, and now in the special planning document, if you see there is a number here, actually this is the what the government projecting, and then now the number 7, this is what we are projecting. So in the special document there is a number 7, or the new things, which is the terracotta, kota terracotta, or the terracotta cultural area. And I think this dynamic forms allow arts to stretch out the art into our daily life, like work in the various contexts and ways, and like resilient tools for us living in the area that always have a changing situation, I think. And I don't know, I still have a time, or I think it's finished. I think it's, hopefully I'm talking quite clear. I think, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself. Fantastic. There's so much to kind of chat about what a fascinating project that you guys have been kind of working on for the past 15 years. And I think it's related to a lot of things. Some of the kind of Guggenheim panels have been talked about either from yesterday through the globalism panel or this morning through the kind of the local community panel, and also the Monday talking about the kind of ethics and responsibilities of cultural institution, because I think I love that you open with the food in a kind of what do you call, like almost like a salad, that you have a lot of different things and different textures and different ways of eating it too. And it's kind of fascinating. I think I want to just go back to a bit more on maybe the family structure, because I think that's really such a core thing for you guys, especially, I mean, I keep thinking about this word FUBU, like for us, by us. Like, I feel like you said, the way that you guys engage with community is very different, because the community is you're addressing yourself basically, and the community is an extended family, right? There is a very different context that you're working with. So maybe let's go back to the family a bit more, and then tell us a bit more about what are the kind of the how did you scale? Let's just go very basic, right? How did you started from a family, like a real kind of a like biological family, let's say, and then how did you build to this extended family? Now you have 11,000 people at some given point.
First, I think talking of the family, this family is already have social capital, which is quite, let's say, this family is well respected in the village, and they have kind of the Arif is number one, and then they have 5 brothers. But then actually the village life context is important also to mention, because usually in the village, like with your neighborhood, it's actually have a relation, like family relation. So it's kind of the social capital, the family relation. It's also part of the JAF, part of the JAF track or JAF tools to starting this extended family. And then actually JAF just unlock the door so everyone can. For example, I'm from Bandung, not born in Jatiwangi, but then first time I came here is like I can eat there, sleep there without any any awkwardness or like a formal something, but they're very open, very fluid. So this is the kind of this family also is kind of the core. Is the openness of this family is quite a core to understand the relation in here, and then also is JAF as well, like located in the we have a factory also there, and then actually the JAF private land is also a public road, so people who wanna go to the next block usually passing JAF, so it's also make a JAF also as a public area in the same way. I think and it's like you inviting you have 5 brothers, 5 and then every brother have a friend, so this extended family is coming also from that. So just make your house open, and then everyone can something else.
So it's very organically, right? And then it's also
your question, or
no, definitely. And I think also something quite interesting is, when you mentioned that you kind of arrived and then there just openness and sharing resources, which I think it's kind of interesting, and just to think about like I guess go back to the kind of in my introduction, I talk about Lumbun as a concept of a rice barn where everyone are kind of come to a place that where you can share resource and have the ability to share that resource. I wonder your thoughts on kind of do you think it's something that it's actually in the kind of the tradition of Indonesia, that kind of that openness to share resource is just a given, or you think there's actually some sort of a particular history or genealogies or push? Sorry, did we lost Isma? Or you're still here?
Actually, I'm a little bit lost because of the
Oh, sorry. Let me repeat my question. Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. I was talking about the kind of the openness to share resource, which I think it's related to the Lumbun kind of the rice barn metaphor or the kind of the methodology that that Ranrupa is kind of referring to. And maybe you can just tell us a bit more about the kind of the how does that, I mean, I think it's kind of fascinating that it's just so naturally that sharing resources is such a natural thing for you guys, but it doesn't seem natural for a lot of other places where people are fighting for resources. So I wonder if you can speak a bit more on kind of the resource sharing aspect of the practice.
Yeah. It somehow is also maybe quite specific in, if you see in the rural context, actually sharing or taking care of each other is kind of the nature behavior, and but then in the Java context, it's become more strange as well because the because there is a rooftop factory here, and also the Arif brothers, the local heroes, and then become a head village as well in here. So sometimes village hall is moved to our space. So a lot of people come here for their own needs as a citizen or as a community. Sometimes there is no connection with art at all, but then so the sharing is kind of the important also. It's more like I think if we can still sharing the interest, we can sustain, I think, because for example when there is because we're facing a different and very dynamic as a community. For example, when there is a new industrial come, we cannot say in the confrontation way, because the one who celebrating this industrial wave is actually our neighborhood. Even there is some JAF member also working in the modern factory, the shoes factory. So if we do in that way, it will be how to say, disturb our relation. So become a place, provide a place that people can still sharing and find their interest here, and then I think it's one of the key Jeff can at least in this 15 years. And also that's why governments also can hang out here, because they also find their interest how to sharing. I think
I love the government, how you guys work with the government. So maybe I should talk a bit more about the governance, or the kind of, I feel like you guys have a very different way of self-governance, and also very innovative way of engaging either the local government or other governments internationally speaking, that you kind of mentioned presentation. So maybe just tell us a bit about your philosophy about governance, and what does that impact the work of JAF?
Yeah, the government actually is part of our, let's say, ecosystem, because for example, in the rural context, the closest government is like the village government, and then every village usually there is, or every district have kind of the like army district and the police district, which is actually there is also our neighborhood. I know we know their house, and then we always sometimes meet maybe in the market and also or in the in everywhere. So how we, let's say, engage with the government actually is because that context as well. But then we see how to say, like, and also it's important to to make a leap to see how we can make make a platform or make a space to how we can share the interest together, not as like in the, like I said, in the confrontation. You are government, we are working with the community, so it will be that's why it's approved when we initiate the terracotta kota terracotta project, I think. And because I don't know, when I imagine it in the, for example, in the Jakarta context or big city, maybe it will be different because even we don't know who is our chief district if we are in the urban context. But in here we meet them, even they are our relative or they are our family itself.
It's fascinating to see the kind of the I guess these power dynamic shifts within either urban settings or the rural setting. And I think because you guys are located in this so-called rural areas, the kind of the self-governance becomes so important, and I'm very admiring you guys are using one simple element, a roof tile, and really turning into a huge practice. And I think I want to maybe ask you to comment a bit more on kind of the importance of the rural. At the Guggenheim, we recently just closed an exhibition which is called The Countryside. So, which I think has some really interesting connection, but I think the exhibition our exhibition, which is kind of is curated or organized by the architect Rem Koolhaas, is really kind of thinking about the technological advance in the rural area. But I think what you guys are doing is quite different from kind of his research. But I'm very curious to see your thoughts on kind of the possibilities of the rural and kind of the power of the rural, and also maybe tell us a bit more about speaking of someone's currently based in New York in the urban setting, like what is actually happening in the rural right now, and what has happened in the past, and what might happen in the future, in your opinion.
It's I think it's interesting because there is some kind of a myth as well in this kind of the discourse about the rural urban, etc. Because the dichotomy of rural urban itself is, I don't know, it's maybe also it's somehow is kind of the Western perspective to see the different, because like rural in the Western perspective maybe it's more like the area non-urban area, but then from here it's maybe it's different. And then also, for example, when the not recent, like a few years ago, the United Nations initiate the new urban agenda, which is they imagine there will be huge increasing population, like in 2030 in the city or in the urban area. So they need to talking about the new agenda for the urban life. But then what happened in here is actually not the huge urbanization, or I mean the people move to the city, but then the urban itself expanded in, I mean, for example, the industrial, it's expanded. And then Jatiwangi is I think struggling in that transformation, like to in the midst of this urbanization. The key, or like the important things I think is about the imagination of yeah, it's very limited. That our imagination is very limited to. So we working, and then we only imagining one single or one definition, which is become urban or become so-called modern, something kind of that. So yeah, Jeff tried to offering another imagination. I think because the performative of the, yeah, to explore more the performative of rural, it's important to offering this another imagination, I think. And yeah, that's also what we are thinking to regarding what we are facing, for example, for Documenta. So if the global stakeholder, for example, like United Nations, etc., make new urban agenda, so we plan to make new rural agenda. So to not to confront or to counter, but then to offering another perspective. And because we also have a lumbung, which is uh, a very have every Lumu member, we believe, yeah, have kind of the collective intelligence that also important to echoing. And then as we know, the global resolution is always come up hierarchically from the world organization, and then to the government, and then to the become a program that they call the community development, etc. But then how it will be, how if it's in first, like the idea or the resolution is come up from the community itself. And then that's why we interesting to make a conference, but mimicry the high level conference that usually did by the let's say United Nation. And also in this conference we imagine as well to inviting also the national delegation, maybe the cultural ministry or maybe the president itself. And then also, but then yeah, the community or the collective is the, let's say, the main actor to yeah I think to yeah. And also the rural in here also we imagine not only as a dichotomy of the certain issue in the certain area like urban or rural, but also this is more like the concept how we can uh, talking about our common future, I think. And then yeah, and then this pandemic as well, much more yeah, also have a lot of impacted to have a reflection for us to talking more. Because for example, in the during this pandemic in Indonesia, there is kind of the phenomena the urbanization, when the city feels like vulnerable in the time of pandemics. Most of the worker who before do the urbanization move to the city, they come back to the village and then see the village is more have a social social security, because they have still a family. And then they not too stressful how I can eat today, because they have it always have a rise in your home. So it's different if in the, let's say, in the urban context or in the city. So I think yeah, talking a lot of the performativity of the rural or the village or the commonness or the common good, I think is important in here.
Yeah, fascinating. I'm very curious about that conference. Again, it was just kind of the power dynamic of, you guys as the organizer and inviting the governments and presidents as the participant. I think that's fascinating because you're again taking the kind of the real agenda at your own hands without kind of a seeking permissions from from above, right? And it's really kind of this grassroots organization efforts are really truly fascinating. And I think you also answered one of the questions that our viewer have posed regarding the COVID, how COVID impacted your work and your community. And I maybe take another question is the importance of craft, tradition, local resources, and community are central to your mission. How has technology and social media impacted your projects?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of the, let's say, it's a good tools. I mean, but then it's not our main agency. I mean, how we see the technology. For example, during this pandemic, then some people suddenly shift into the online. But then for what we are feel like, uh, yeah, we're not choosing to suddenly shifting to the online, because yeah, we can still meet people. For example, when during this pandemic, when we are when the government decide to make a school from home, actually, like people, yeah, they school from home, but then they go to picnic to the village hall. So this kind of the situation that yeah, that we are, I mean, still should understand. So the technology is not kind of the main agency that we, but it's, yeah, important, not important, like it's very useful actually. Yeah, to for, of course, for to the how to we can amplification what we are doing here, and through social media, and yeah. But yeah, but until now, like, we didn't have any fixed website or like clear website about who we are, because the important for us is like, if you want to more, you can come to here to Jatiwangi, and then yeah, yeah, be as our guests and stay in our room and eat together and talk more. It's more yeah, important, I think.
Yeah, it's great at how kind of deeply rooted you guys are with the land and the soil that you kind of talked about. We have a few other questions. So one of them is kind of interesting. I guess it's related to the kind of the online portion of the question you just answered. Can you imagine creating a global village that celebrates and shares local traditions from around the world?
Very hard question, actually. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but because I believe that every culture or every village have their own context, and also, of course, regarding to the local resources as well, and it also shape how we had a relation, and then after that we have what's so called as a culture, and yeah, but then this sharing is still important. I think the word of sharing, and also how we also can be have a more open paradigm to not only as not trapped in the like a box, certain box, what's so called tradition, etc., but also maybe it's more like yeah, it's more like how we can also expanded our knowledge, or as long as we can also sophisticated our culture, let's say, or I don't know the a good word for that, but then yeah, to keep learning, and then to keep have an open paradigm, I think is important, because it what happened to us, or to me especially in here. I didn't have any experience, let's say, in the art practice before, but then when I live here and I meet so many people from around the world here, and then I learn by the interaction, and then, oh, okay, now I understand. So the art practice can stretch into this way, etc. I think that's important. And also, for example, like before Jatiwangi, how people uh, the network of Jatiwangi is only about the roof tile, like you maybe you meet your consumer or the broker or the government project, but then now when there is JAF, there is more diverse people come here, like there is architect, there is even I think next month there will be US Army come here. I don't know why they want to come here. Like,
Okay, that is random.
yeah, very random. Like, because yeah, today there is some Indonesian Army come here. Then they say that there will be US Army come here, and then I have an idea to bring to here to JAF Jatiwangi. So okay, so I think this kind of yeah, intersection.
Fascinating with the U.S. Army visitors. One thing kind of we talked about, I think there's a few questions maybe I'll return to as our audience, but one question we talked about going back to kind of the art is that you mentioned sometimes the kind of the Y cube model is actually useful when you're negotiating certain projects with the local government. Can you share that a bit more with our audience as well? Because I think that's there is things that can be learned from you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like yeah, because the language of the when we talk about the art is already established in that way, like in the white cube, etc. So that's why we choose to not have a fixed form or method or approaching, because we're facing very diverse, and then when with yeah, we're facing with the government, yeah, it's more easier to talk in that way. So but then also we just maybe kind of the modified the content. So when usually they see the exhibition is only about, for example, painting, craftsmanship, etc., but then also we can talk about our daily life, or our what happened in here, like the transformation situation, for example. When we talk in the experimentation way, it can be yeah, it can be answered, but maybe we need a time to explain more what is. But then when we just using or hacking this model, it will be more easier. We just modified the content, I think. And then also yeah, and also somehow this kind of the white cube approaching is kind of a tools, because to talk more with the government. For example, what we did with the terracotta kota terracotta project is actually what we need is kind of the legitimation or some of ratified from the government to understand what we are doing. Something kind of that, yes. And yeah, and I believe also as well about the yeah, I guess art have kind of the flexibility to make a frog leap uh, yeah, to make a frog leap, so we don't trap anymore in the kind of the normative things, or yeah, I think this is just where I believe.
I like that how you guys, or how you use the word stretch. That our practice can be stretched in different ways, or you talk about non-fixed or fluidity, or not using any particular language or terms or categories to box in a certain practice. And it's fascinating to me, kind of thinking about you guys as an artist collective. I think the work, the artwork you guys are doing, in many ways, it's not really an object, right? Art object. But in many ways, it is almost kind of using art thinking as a methodology to create a certain subjectivity. That's what you kind of talk about, right? And I think that related to, I will say this is going to be the last question, is from our audience. I think that the community of Jatiwangi Art Factory could be the role model for many communities. I understand that the foundation of this project is the production of the roof tiles. And what if the roof tiles are no longer needed in the market? And what is the future of the Jatiwangi Art Factory?
Actually, it's already happened. I think how is a roof tile is struggling because there is a lot of competitive product, like for example, like the fiber roof and etc. But then what we are, it's not about the we want pretend, or we want protect, or we want a fight with the roof tile, but the important thing is more like how we can still cultivate our resources. And I think the diversity is kind of the key point. So because we already trapped in the roof tile industry, which is in the mood of exploitation, actually, like because roof tile is needs also a lot of resources. So the what we are try to explore, or yeah, with this terracotta kota terracotta project, is how we can also cultivate our resources with more diverse product using our local material. That's why we invite designer, architect, artists to also yeah, formulating to also make a new product. And then but then also this new product hopefully can also still we can still also connecting with the roof tile industry, so they can shift also with the new product, but then still we still cultivate our resources. I think that's what we are. And then the terracotta city idea as well is about what we your terms about the from us, for us by us. I don't know. It's
Fubu,
like
yes.
it's made by us. Fubu.
Yeah.
I think it's also about that. So we made our own product to build or to our own city, something kind of that thing.
Great. Thank you so much, Ismail. I have been signaled many times that we're at time, but this has been so fun, so fascinating. I learned so much from you guys. Good luck with the U.S. Army visits, but I definitely want to be there to visit you soon.
Yes,
and yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you find the Jatiwangi Art Factory practice is so inspiring. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
Soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.